Welcome to Peaceful Reading with Nivi. Thank you for choosing this quiet moment to pause, breathe, and simply listen. Find a comfortable place to rest. Allow your shoulders to soften and let this gentle story unfold at its own peaceful pace. Today's story is The Selfish Giant, written by Oscar Wilde. Every afternoon, as school ended, a group of children wandered happily into a beautiful garden. The garden belonged to a giant, but he had been away for many years, visiting a dear friend in a distant land. Without anyone to stop them, the children filled the garden with laughter. They climbed the trees, they played games upon the soft green grass, they chased butterflies, dancing in the sunlight. The birds sang joyful melodies from branch to branch, delighted to have cheerful company. The blossoms smiled in every direction, painting the garden with gentle shades of pink, white, and gold. It seemed that happiness itself had chosen this little garden as its home. One day, the giant returned. As he approached the garden, he stopped in surprise. Children were everywhere. "What are you doing in my garden?" he shouted. The children gasped. They hurried through the gate and disappeared down the road. "This garden belongs to me," declared the giant. "I will allow no one else to play here." The next day, he built a tall stone wall around the garden. Upon the gate, he placed a large sign: "Trespassers will be prosecuted." The garden became silent. Soon, something very strange happened. Spring arrived everywhere. Across the countryside, flowers bloomed, birds returned, fresh leaves unfolded upon the trees. Yet Inside the giant's garden, winter remained. The snow wrapped the grass in white. The frost painted every branch with sparkling silver. The cold north wind wandered through the empty trees. Even the hail danced happily across the roof, because there were no children to chase it away. The birds refused to sing. The trees forgot how to blossom. Without joyful laughter, the garden had fallen asleep. The giant looked from his window each morning. "I do not understand," he whispered. "Why is winter staying so long?" The days became weeks. The weeks became months. Still no spring came. Then, one peaceful morning, the giant awoke to the sweetest sound. A tiny bird was singing outside his window. Its gentle song floated through the quiet air like a gift. The giant looked outside. Somehow a small opening had appeared beneath the wall. The children had quietly returned. Each child sat beneath a different tree. Where the children rested, the trees burst into blossom. Flowers opened, birds sang. Warm sunshine poured across the grass. Spring had finally found its way into the garden. Only one small corner remained frozen. A little boy stood there. He was too small to climb into the branches. The tree stretched its limbs toward him as though it wished to help. But the child could not reach. The giant watched silently. For the first time, his heart felt different. He saw not strangers in his garden, but children simply wishing for a place to laugh and play. "How selfish I have been," he said softly. "Now I understand why spring would not come." He walked gently into the garden. The children became frightened and ran away. As they fled, winter returned behind them. Only the smallest little boy remained. He had tears in his eyes and had not noticed the giant approaching. The giant carefully lifted the child into the branches of the tree. At once, the tree burst into magnificent blossoms. Birds circled overhead. The warm breeze returned. The little boy wrapped his arms around the giant's neck and smiled. When the children saw this, they realized the giant was no longer angry. Slowly they returned. With every laughing child, more flowers blossomed. The giant picked up a large hammer. Stone by stone, he pulled down the great wall. From that day forward, the garden belonged to everyone. Every afternoon, the children filled it with joy. The giant laughed with them. He watched them grow. He listened to their stories. His once lonely garden became the happiest place in the village. Years passed gently. The giant grew old. He could no longer run with the children, but he loved watching them from beneath the trees. My greatest treasures, he often said, are not flowers, nor the birds, nor the beautiful trees. My greatest treasures are my little friends. One winter morning, the giant looked toward the far corner of the garden. There stood the little boy he had helped long ago. Beautiful white blossoms surrounded him. Although it was still winter everywhere else, the giant hurried to greet him. "My dear child," he said with great joy, "where have you been all these years?" The little boy smiled with quiet kindness. "You once welcomed me into your garden," he said gently. "Today you shall come with me to a far more beautiful garden." And the giant's heart was filled with perfect peace. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness changes not only another person's life, but our own. A warm welcome, a gentle word, a forgiving heart. Like the giant's garden, our hearts bloom when we make room for love, compassion, and friendship. Thank you for sharing these peaceful moments with me. Until next time, may your heart remain gentle, your mind remain calm, and may you always find beauty in the quiet moments.